Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kent Page. I'm the Chief of Advocacy for Education Cannot Wait. That's the UN Global Fund for Education in Emergencies. Tomorrow, as you know, is International Women's Day, and I'm pleased to have here with us Yasmine Sherif. She's the Executive Director of Education Cannot Wait. And to her left is Elaha Mahboob, who is the co-producer and the writer of a film that is opening today in over 1,400 cinemas. It's called Rule Breakers, and it's about the Afghan Dreamers, the Afghan girls robotics team. I happen to have seen a sneak preview of it. I had my Kleenex out. It's very inspiring. It's a feel-good movie. It's a non-political movie. It's beautiful, and I encourage you to see it. But over to Yasmine, who will give us a briefing on ECW's work in Afghanistan and the situation of girls in Afghanistan. Yasmine?
Thank you very much, Kent, and thank you all of you for being here. It's one day ahead of the International Women's Day, so it's a very appropriate time. And more than just commemorate the International Women's Day, it's important that we speak about the reality and try to do something about it. We need action. And I would really start by congratulating Elaha Mahboob, my dear sister from Afghanistan. I used to live in Afghanistan, and it's so wonderful because you are the writer and the script writer of and co-producer of Rule Breakers, which you did together with film director Bill Guttentag. And of course, with Education Cannot Wait's global champion, Somaya Farouk, who was the chairperson or the head of the Afghan girls' robotic teams. And their story as groundbreaking, change-making Afghan young girls with that power, being able to win the best robotic team, and on top of it, land support for a groundbreaking movie by Hollywood film director and our distinguished sister Elaha. It shows you can do anything. So for whatever we hear right now around us and see around the world, we don't have money, we can't do this. We are saying, watch Rule Breaker. Create a new path. The money is there. Fund education. Because without education, this film would never have existed. This would never have happened. Now, on the sad part is that we today have 1.5 million Afghan girls who cannot attend to secondary school because of a ban imposed by the Taliban. Okay? And every year, that number goes up by 300,000. So we are going to be in the millions very soon, beyond the 1.5. And the ban has had a devastating impact on girls' education, the empowerment of women as doctors, lawyers, teachers, nurses, that Afghanistan needs as well, like any other country, like any other Muslim country. Added to the extreme poverty that Afghanistan is suffering today. And mind you, Afghanistan has been suffering for decades. The war in Afghanistan started at the end of the 70s. And there has been small pauses, and now we have this very dysfunctional governance where half of the population is not allowed to be part of rebuilding this long-suffering country. And I also would like to stress, because in January this year, 25, the Islamabad Declaration was proclaimed. It was an international conference on girls' education in Muslim communities were brought together with ministers, ambassadors, and academics from 44 Muslim organizations and majority Muslim countries, including the Islamic Organization for Islamic Cooperation, the Muslim World League, UNESCO, UNICEF, and the World Bank. And they came up with the Islamabad Declaration, basically stating nowhere in Islam does it state that girls should not have access to an education beyond second grade. On the contrary, it calls upon knowledge as a primary path, and that applies both to girls and women and boys and men. So indeed, the world is trying to do what it can to move away from a very flawed interpretation of Islam. Now, at Education Cannot Wait, we are, as you know, and I've been with you many times, a global fund for education in emergencies and protracted crisis. We are hosted by UNICEF. We serve all the UN system. We also serve civil society and working with host governments. What we do that is so particular is that we reinforce the reform program of the UN to have joint programming and coordination, which is so very important, so no taxpayers' money are wasted. Everyone works together based on added value, comparative advantage. And two, this is the best way to be transparent and to make sure that there's no corruption. All funding goes straight to the organizations that implement on the ground. Nothing goes to a crisis-affected government. Nothing goes to a crisis-affected government, okay? So if there is any way for any strategic donor partner, public sector, to support what I will conclude with sharing with you, please do so now. Show that you are on par with Somaya Farouk and the robotics team, the rule breakers. Don't sit and wait for better times. Don't sit and wait for the storm to be over. Be that storm, because we need you more than ever. In Afghanistan, Education Cannot Wait has invested $30 million in a multi-year program that is run at the community-based level by international partners in the most underserved areas. 65% of those who are receiving educations are girls and adolescent girls. So we are breaking the ban. We are breaking the rules, because you have to do so if you want to do what is right in this particular context. So we have reached over 100,000, and as I said, 65% are adolescent girls. We have trained 3,500 teachers in mental health and psychosocial service, in social and emotional learning, safeguarding, prevention of sexual exploitation, and child protection. And the current program that we have that is working so very well runs through 2026. So I will conclude here by saying one thing to the Taliban, and I have lived and worked in Afghanistan as in many other Muslim countries, and the ban against 50% of your population so that you can break new ground and rebuild Afghanistan. You need 50% of the population to be the nurses and the teachers and the doctors. 2, all strategic public partners, donors, private sectors, please break the rules of your own minds and say, there is money, we can do this. They are breaking the rules and the bans in Afghanistan to make sure every girl gets an education, irrespective of that ban. And Education Cannot Wait is the vehicle, and we have great partners on the ground, and it's happening. It's not what we will do, it's happening right now. Thank you very much. Over to my sister.
Thank you. Thank you, Yasmine. It's a very honor to be here today and share a story that really means a lot to me. Rule Breaker is not just a movie. It's actually a story of resilience, courage, and power of education. It follows the story and journey of Afghan Girl robotic team, young women who refused to accept the limitation was placed on them. And in a country where educating girls seen as a rebellion. These girls dare to dream, they dare to build and prove that they belong in a STEM and on global stage. As a co-writer and executive producer, this film is deeply personal to me. My sister Elaha Mahboob, whose journey is also at the heart of this movie, and I have spent years in creating opportunities for women in technology. And it was very important for us to make sure that this film capture not only the struggle, but also the determination and then courage and hope and talent of these young girls. Too often the stories that we see about Afghanistan only focus on hardship, but Rule Breakers show another side, a side that's filled with innovation and possibility. But while this film is a story about past, its message is more urgent than ever today. More than millions of girls in Afghanistan denied education, and this film is a reminder of what was possible and what must be fought for to, to fight for. And I hope Rule Breakers that is, today is going to be released in cinemas, inspire conversation and action. And I invite you to watch and share and, just raise awareness about the power of education. The more people see this film, the louder the message would be. Afghan girls and all girls, they deserve to, and they have a right to learn and dream big and build a better future for themselves. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Elaha. Thank you, Yasmine. We open to questions. Edith?
Thank you very much on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association for doing this briefing. My name is Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. 2 questions. First to you, can you give us an update on what the robotics team is now? Is it still acting as a team? They're out of the country. Where are they? And secondly, to our good friend, you said that you're breaking the rules in Afghanistan itself. What's the reaction of the Taliban been? Thank you.
I can go first. So the Afghan girls, like most of our team members, are outside of Afghanistan right now. So mostly are in U.S. Studying their undergrad here. And we still have teams in Afghanistan, but we are educating them online. So, yeah.
I can also add that Samaya Faruqi, who is the captain of the Afghan girls robotics team, who's portrayed in the film as Tara, she's studying in California, and she's studying mechanical engineering. So we're in touch with her all the time, and if you ever want to interview with her, happy to set that up for you. Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me, Yasmine.
I'm used to it. So, I'm a lawyer, and I'm a human rights lawyer. So, when I say breaking the rules, I don't say it lightly, okay? And I love the title of your movie, because as I did once, many years ago, when I was in a war in the Balkans, and I gave a lecture on human rights, and I said, if this is the law, and the law says, or the ban, that girls cannot go to secondary school, girls cannot get educated, girls cannot be seen, girls should only be cooking food. I, as a lawyer, human rights, would say, this is the worth of that law. It's worth this much, okay? And breaking the rules means that the ban is illegal. The ban is illegal against the UN Charter. It's illegal against not only the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, but the UN covenants on human rights. Every child and the Child Convention has a right to an education. I mean, it's one of the most basic rights a human being can have. Now, if somebody comes and decides to create a ban or an edict saying that if you're a girl and you cannot continue on to second grade, you are in severe breach of international law. So you have actually broken the law. And your law or your edict is not even worth the name of being a law or part of any legal framework. So I would like to apply that, because what is important these days is that there's a lot of financial pressure around the globe today, but there are rule breakers everywhere that believe that we still have to help the world. And I'm saying, please help us help the Afghan girls to get their education, because I'm sure that everyone agrees that this is a fantastic way of doing something that will impact all of us and not just them one day, get the girls educated. We are not aware of any case where there has been any repercussions. Now, the programs in Afghanistan are run by organizations who live there and work there for many decades. They know the communities, they often know the commanders who are from the area. And as you know, there is also a division now within the Taliban movement. So there will be commanders and there will be members who want their daughters to go to school. And they will turn a blind eye and let it happen. That's another way of breaking the rule.
Lovely. Please.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on the film and the work. It's Pamela Falk from U.S. News and World Report. For the ED, there have been stories, I haven't been able to verify it, that there's some divisions in the Taliban leadership about moving forward with some girls' rights. Have you seen that at all? And what would your message, and Elaha as well, what would your message be about pressure points? What's the next step to pressure the Taliban to give more rights so they could make this movie and return to Afghanistan?
I'll let you start, the guest.
And also,
And I'll
just
come
how
in
has the
afterward.
reception been how has the reception been around the world? Thank you.
I mean, I would say for the movie itself, like, I mean, we have received a great reception. Like, there is so many positivity around that, just because, like, you have never seen a movie that focus on girls from Afghanistan. It's not about only tragedy, but more about, like, you know, their courage and talent, and, like, just see these girls actually leading in Afghanistan. That's what we have lost today. And for me, I would say the message is that, like, I really hope that, like, you know, government and organizations, you know, by seeing what we have lost today, they consider Afghan girl education in their agenda with Taliban, and making sure, beside the humanitarian helps, that, you know, they pressure Taliban to allow them. Education is basic right. It's not a, you know, privilege. This is something very important that, you know, girls, if they want to participate and be part of a society, they get educated. So I really hope that's something that, you know, hopefully coming from this movie as well, because not that many people have seen this side of Afghanistan, and that they raise awareness and work toward, like, you know, making sure the girls in Afghanistan go back to schools. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have spoken during our all-women mission to Afghanistan just after the Taliban took over with Talibans who were part of the de facto government. And already back then, some of them that were highly educated, who were father of daughters, they said, we want our daughters to go to school. They said it, and these were very sophisticated, intelligent, educated. They'd been educated abroad, and they were part of the Taliban movement to fight for an independent Afghanistan, which has always been the history of Afghanistan. However, it's not been the history of Afghanistan to have this kind of governance where you have edicts and bans passed against girls and women literally every Friday. There are those in the Taliban movement who have openly said, we don't. And to me personally, I want my daughters to go to school. I'm absolutely devastated by this. But I think what we see now in the last months is now in the hierarchy or further up politically, you're seeing resistance and political actors or part of the administration in Afghanistan speaking up, and some have left the country. But we knew about this division in Afghanistan for long. We knew, and it's been under the surface, but they didn't want to show the division to the world. Of course, that will weaken you, but now it's becoming so explosive. So those are fleeing the country, and eventually, because you are very hopeful, we were discussing outside, eventually it may turn around. It will turn around. Afghanistan has a longer history than the Taliban.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes, Shooter with China Central Television. Ms. Sherif, this question is for you. Just now you mentioned you urge people to donate for your program. We know that recently USAID, as well as many other countries, they cut funding for many projects. Has this funding cutting affected Education Cannot Wait, especially the program in Afghanistan?
Thank you. As I said, we currently have a $30 million program in Afghanistan that is fully paid for. All our commitments, we are able to meet them. But then, when they reach a closure, so this one in Afghanistan will come to a close in 2026. And if we don't renew it with an additional 30 million or 50 million or even 100 million, it can reach every million, you will reach so many more, then it has to close down. And then we have missed an opportunity. We missed an opportunity. And it's an opportunity, it's not just financial, it's political. It's going to have repercussions on all of us. I mean, in total, we have 234 million children today. It's almost 250 million who cannot go to school in conflict-affected areas as refugees or in climate disasters. 250 million. Very soon it might be 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. We may end up having 50% of the world population not going to school. So whoever has the ability, whether you're a government, a private sector, to hold that back and be that pioneering change maker. This is the time. This is the time. But as I said, our program is under control for now. It's fine. But we appeal to all public sector, private sector partners. You want change. You want to be a change maker. You want to make a difference. Well, here it is. We take care of everything for you. You just have to step up and support us with the financial means. Everything else is in place. And you're making a huge difference for humanity. And it's in everyone's national interest.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again, Yasmine. It's Noreen Hussain with IPS News. My question actually is for Elaha, and I wanted to ask more about your role as the producer and as the screenwriter. In the process of writing the screenplay, what did you think was critical to include? Like, what did you want to include that the audience had to see to know about this story? Thank you.
Question. I think what was really, really important for me was that, usually when we talk about Afghanistan or Afghan women, either it's around like tragedy, or either like you see Afghan women as a, just merely victim and of conflict, which is, part of the story, but they're not a full picture or full story of what's, life has been for women, or, life has been in the last 20 years in Afghanistan. And for me, it was really important that we show a side of Afghanistan that you have never seen in the media and in any movies, that, that there were progress, past, there were so many courageous women and men that they were trying to build their future in Afghanistan. And even though you see you will see in the movie that there are so many challenges, societal expectations and limitation for these girls, but they didn't they didn't sit back, and then they never gave up on their dreams. So they were actually actively working toward that dreams. And for me, it was important to show Afghan women as change makers, as innovators, the people who actually not just sit behind and let others to decide for their future, but they actually actively participating in the government and in the society to build their own future. So that was really important for us to show in this movie. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes, first, congratulations to Elaha for the film, and thank you for the work that you do. My question is for you as one of the writers of the film, and I'm very curious about your writing process. How, in particular, did you depoliticize the writing process, and how did you extract the inspiration and information from the lives that have shaped this film?
So for me and for my other two co-writers, both Bill and Jason, it was very important that we, even though situation in Afghanistan, there are war and there are tragedy going on, we at the start of this movie, we wanted to just focus on the girls, their work and what has, how they inspire others. And for us, we just want to create that complexity of their emotions and then all the challenges that they face, but everything together, the norms and cultural norms that happening in Afghanistan, and families, I would say family is very important in Afghanistan, and how they kind of have to convince them to let them to go to to the classes for robotics. So I would say it's difficult. It was a difficult process, but we all wanted to stay true to that complexity of their how they lived in Afghanistan and how today they are where they are. And it's just we all agree on the fact that we want to bring a true story to viewers, to that they actually feel that connection with them, and not really focus so much on politics or religion, even though they are naturally you can see those effects with them and the movie. So once you see it, you can see that hopefully we deliver that message, and the message of hope, while still those things are going on in Afghanistan. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Any other questions in the room? Are there any questions online from the journalists who are joining online? Yeah, please
Yes,
go
I
ahead.
have a question.
Please go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for this briefing, and thank you for this enlightening film about women in Afghanistan. But I always raise the issue of other oppressed women. And of course, women has the right for education, but also they have the right for life. And there are women who are denied their lives now in Gaza, in Kashmir, in Myanmar, in many places. So why you don't also highlight this suffering of women in different parts of the world? Thank you.
Yeah.
My question is to just Yasmine.
Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. I mean, women are.
Hamid Sayam
Yeah.
from the Arabic Daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi. I'm sorry.
أهلا وسهلا أهلا وسهلا.
Ahlan, Yasmine.
You're absolutely right. There are women in all the places you mentioned and elsewhere in the world. And I know that as far as we are concerned, My Education Cannot Wait, we do regular briefings here from different parts of the world. Our UN colleagues in other parts of the UN system are up here on the podium briefing about the situation of women who are affected in particular. UN Women plays an instrumental role in that. UNICEF plays an instrumental role. But also families, children around the globe. Because the ban against girls' education in Afghanistan is probably, you can never compare suffering, and I said it so many times from sitting here, because suffering and injustice is not up to us to compare, but because the ban is so outrageous, like everything else, I can't compare it, but because the film, Rule Breakers, is just having a world premiere, it shows that an Afghan girl who is educated can go for a dream. So Maya started in her father's garage in Herat, Western Afghanistan, where you are from as well, and was so driven to be educated. And she goes out and creates the robotic team, and eventually that becomes, you know, worldwide released movie by a very great script writer and also Oscars-winning film director. So we thought that this is happening all at the same time. Let us use this International Women's Day to focus that on the girls in Afghanistan so that they do not get forgotten. We cannot forget them. So that's the reason. But by no means, the humanitarian imperative, Mohammed, is that we are here to alleviate suffering and help all based on the principles of humanity and impartiality. So, and human rights and international humanitarian law applies like any law in any country equally on everyone. There are no exceptions. We never break those rules. Those rules, I can say as a lawyer, we don't break. They are imperatives, not only for national law, but for national laws as well. But today it's about the girls of Afghanistan. No one else is forgotten.
Just a quick follow-up, final question, personal question. As the ED said, someday this will change. Do the girls on the robotics team, does everyone want to go back someday if it changes? Thanks.
I mean, it's our country, obviously. Like, when I moved to US, like, and study here, I had that in mind that, like, one day I can, like, you know, be back and like make changes there. So, but like that has been given, you know, taken away from us. I believe, like, you know, for us, you know, when we came and like being in Afghanistan, there were so many opportunities that we had, right? And then I'm here today because of these opportunities. And, you know, yeah, we wish that like one day if things go back to, you know, to the normal and like girls be able to go to work and education, why not? Like that's the least that we can go and give back to our country.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions online? I do not see any hands. Thank you all very much. Wishing everyone a very happy International Women's Day tomorrow. And I would encourage you to go and see this film, Rule Breakers. It opens today. I'm going with my daughter and my wife. And I saw a preview of it the other day, and it's really, truly an inspiring film. Thank you, Yasmine. Thank you, Elaha.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.